Questions are growing about the future of Venezuela's oil reserves following the U.S. capture of Nicolas Maduro. The country is 17% of the world's global supply, but only exported about 1 million barrels last year, most of which went to China. About 150,000 went to the U.S. and a minor volume to Cuba. Joining us now to discuss, Andy Lipow, president of Lipow Oil Associates, and you are a 40-year veteran in the oil refining industry. Andy, thank you for joining us on the National News Desk. To start, Secretary for the Department of Energy, Chris Wright, will be meeting in Miami with oil executives tomorrow. Chevron, of course, will be there, which is the only major U.S. oil company still operating in Venezuela. Why were the other American companies like ExxonMobil chased out of Venezuela?
Well, thanks for having me. Back in the 1970s, Venezuela expropriated a significant amount of oil reserves and assets from both ExxonMobil, Shell, and Chevron. And in 2007, they created the framework to push those companies out. That has just left Chevron with a small amount of production, as you mentioned. So while these companies might be interested in returning to Venezuela, it's under what circumstances and what is this going to all mean for them getting oil out of the ground in an industry that is really in disrepair?
Absolutely. There are so many questions about what this would actually look like if American companies actually do go back to Venezuela. As you touched on, they are citing that timeline, but give us some insight on how this could manifest itself. Who secures the oil reserves?
Well, this is, playing the long game for the oil producers. Venezuela needs about $10 billion per year in investment to upgrade the oil infrastructure. But not only that, they need billions of dollars of investment to repair the electrical infrastructure to provide reliable power to these production sites. So once they get the infrastructure going, it's really, we're looking at 5 to 10 years for a material increase in Venezuelan oil production, which peaked at about 3.5 million barrels a day in 1997.
And you said this is the long game, but while I have you really quickly, many have said U.S. gas prices will not be impacted by these oil plants in Venezuela. Why not?
Well, that's correct. None of the oil infrastructure was damaged. The administration is already talking to Caracas about selling the oil into the U.S., which means that any supply disruption is mitigated. In fact, as sanctions are eased, we could see more oil flow out of Venezuela as some production is restored.
About 15 seconds. Do you have any concerns about how Russia, China, or Iran could respond to the U.S. actions?
Well, right now, we've only seen their response in words, so it's unclear how China and Russia will ultimately respond, but certainly China is losing access to very inexpensive oil.
Andy Lipow, president of Lipow Oil Associates, a fascinating discussion. Thank you for joining us on the National News Desk.
Thanks for having me.